So I'm here today because I'm going to shoot the content for my product launch funnel that I have found in general typically is the best bet with which to roll out on Facebook. So we can go from nothing to let's make some money in a short period of time and then roll it up and scale it up. And by the way, here's the challenge with Facebook is most of you get addicted to the low-hanging fruit. You roll out this campaign, it works, you pick all the fruit off the tree, and then you go to the medium, then you go to the high-hanging fruit. You pick the whole tree, and then you're done. That's a different form of promotion. Because when you're done, you're done. How do we do it so we go into forests and we can pick all kinds of trees, not just one tree? And that's kind of what we're going to do here today to set this up. So you're going to see me record the content in real time, and then we're going to break down why we did what we did. So you can understand the psychological lessons behind it, because it doesn't matter what we're really selling. We can sell on options trading. Aline, what do you sell?
The limitless marketing machine.
Oh, cool.
Studios.
Yep, same kind of concept. Same triggers are going to work there. Ryan, what do you sell? Personal training, I could have guessed that, right? The same kind of concepts and triggers work and scale there. Instant gratification, immediate traction, social reciprocity. These are all concepts that we can reutilize over and over again. The format and the models are almost always the same. We just rearrange the names and the pictures for new models. So that's what's really exciting about this. It will take you 100 times more effort to get started for 100 times less profit, but you'll kick it over, and then you'll actually have a real business where you can work less and make more money, not work more and make less money, which is what a lot of us have gotten into the trap. So if we can throw on that little slide here, I'm going to walk you through what the day is going to look like in terms of what this funnel is. So this is the Facebook Live Ads funnel. It's a hybrid. So, you know, product launches are nice. Jeff Walker's a good friend of mine, and I always used to say to him for years, I'm like, you guys never use a webinar in your product launch funnel. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that insane? That never made sense to me, but then it made sense to me one day is because it takes everything they have to do a product launch formula. They have no time left over for a webinar. We would always do a webinar. We never could do a product launch because we put all of our efforts into the webinar. And you're saying, Jason, you now want me to do a funnel with a product launch funnel and a webinar hybrid? That's exactly what I'm saying. But it's actually, when you don't have the gun to your head, let's get this out the door, let's promote this, let's make $1 million by next week because we're spending $1 million this week in order to like get our JV prizes and all this stuff up. That's what we're going to do here today. Now the cool thing is again, a lot of these are very simple and it doesn't really matter the mechanics. So some of you are like, Jason, your language patterns are great and your timing and your pacing, your tonality and how you create open loops, and I heard you're an NLP black belt. All that shit matters like 1%, right? What really matters is you get people excited, you get them engaged, and then you build authority. And so we're going to talk mostly about that. So here's the progression. And then this seems obvious, but it's really important. At each step in the process, we have a different objective. And so our first objective, and this is really important, how do we take a complete stranger who's never, ever, ever heard of us, doesn't know us from anybody else, we're just literally picking them out of a hat, essentially based on a couple checkboxes, and how do we get them interested? You're not going to sell that person immediately unless you're selling really cheap, impulsive stuff, and I don't want any of you in that business because that's easy come, easy go. Which is different than, say, like if I'm doing a promotion with Ben Atkins and my people know me, and so I can send them over to Ben, and there's that kind of implicit trust involved in there. So we're taking a complete stranger. Hey, you, somebody who's never heard of me, who I don't know if you're really interested in this or not, and what are we doing? Good old-fashioned email. You say, Jason, didn't you just dog on email? Certainly did, right? Still worth doing, because once we get them on email, we can get them everywhere else. We can put them on a messenger. We can retarget them on Facebook and even off of Facebook, right? We can then send them to subscribe to our podcast. And we can then do whatever else. You want to subscribe on YouTube? Certainly, let's subscribe on YouTube. You want to, buy my new Amazon book so we can get a bestseller? Totally can do that, right? And that will help you rank on Amazon. So the email is the great entry point because it's the most efficient and economical, but it's not the end point, right? So once somebody gets on your email list, though, this is like salmon swimming back home to mate. They have to go 5,000 miles or whatever. They get on your email list, your job has just begun. Like, what's the open rates these days? Have you looked at them? I don't, because I would go depressed and become an alcoholic. That's the trick. This becomes a lot easier when you don't even look at your stuff anymore. You have somebody else manage it for you. But when somebody opts in, that doesn't necessarily mean they'll open your email. So a lot of you have been taught techniques by Facebook marketers and by other people that says, here's a good way to get somebody on your list. It's also a really good way for them not to be interested in open your emails. So we're going to give substance. We will lose a little bit of opt-in percentage, but we will gain a lot of open, which is more important to me. So we get them to subscribe, we get them to open the email, then we get them to click through. It's like 20-20. So 20% of the people that get on your email list will open your first email, and then 20% of those will click. That number goes down real fast. So 1,000 people, 200, and then what's the click? What's 20% of 200? 40. You went from 1,000 to 40 real quick. And these are people who are on an email list. Oh my God. See, this is what's great about a seminar like this. I don't have to sell you guys anything, right? So I can focus on the truth in full, not the partial truth. I can't talk about how great email is, and these days it's one click and you can drop, I'm telling you the facts, right? Our next goal is when we get somebody to click through and start consuming content, or click through, they get in the active click commitment, as we call it in the business. Our next goal is to get them to register for the webinar. All conversion at the end of the day for me still comes through a webinar. So the product launch content gets them to come to a webinar. So the idea is, stranger, get on my email list, open my email, click through, and then from the click through you'll get the register. I don't allow you to register for the webinar until you've clicked through first. And there's a very important reason for that. We'll talk more about that. Attend the webinar. Oh, God. So now you get 1,000 people. You get 20% to click through. Then you get 20% of that. You're at 40. You'll probably get a 50, 60% registration. So 40 goes down to 20, 25. And then of those that register, it's like 15 attend. You say, oh my God, I went from 1,000 people to 15 people. Here's the good news. You know how many people have a Facebook account that's active? 2 billion people, right? So this is a different game. And by the way, we can hit them again and we can hit them again. And once they attend, then we get them to buy. But it's very much a seductive dance. You know, first we wear the low-cut blouse. Then we have a couple of drinks, little touching, right? Then we go into like a dark corner and we kind of start holding hands, and then you get the rest of it. You understand where I'm going with this, right? But here's what's great is we don't take them home first. They might never know where we live until they do the things that get them there, which is really important on Facebook. And I'll tell you why. If they like you, they might not say anything on social media, but if they hate you, I guarantee they will say something about you. So we could hard sell like we wanted back in the day. Now, I have a way of doing it so I don't piss off as many people. Maybe it's like my young good looks, I don't know what it is, right? I'm like Opie on Andy Griffith, so I get away with a lot of shit that you guys can't get away with, right? Small town Iowa boy. But I mean, I would rather go for the sale and offend somebody than make somebody happy and not get the sale. We're in the business of what? Making money. Making friends is secondary to making money, because if you don't make money, you ain't gonna have any more friends anyway, right? So the idea here becomes, though, we have to be very careful of not being victims of success of our own marketing. Because if we push too hard too soon, which is usually how we did it in the past, because we kind of played in a vacuum, that will backfire on you.